Matt Armstrong just dropped the latest update on the Bugatti rebuild in his weekend upload, and from the first few minutes, you can feel the shift. This isn't a normal progress video. No rush, no hype, just quiet confidence. Because what he's about to attempt is the exact job Bugatti publicly said could not be done outside their factory walls. Bugatti didn't say it was unsafe. They didn't say it was complicated. They said it was impossible. They said the Chiron structure, wiring, hydraulics, and electronics were too intertwined to separate in a normal workshop. Only a handful of locations had the tools, data, and trained technicians to even try. And by saying that, they drew a line Matt is now stepping over. Subscribe and turn on notifications now if you want to follow every detail of this rebuild, because what you're about to see will challenge everything you thought was impossible. This rebuild has already been going on for a long time. Panels removed, interior stripped, airbags deployed and identified. And already, cracks have started forming in the official narrative. Parts thought exclusive weren't. Systems thought bespoke weren't. But this step? This is different. This is the step Bugatti said ends the conversation. To understand why this matters, you have to understand what the Chiron represents. It isn't just a hypercar, it's a symbol of engineering supremacy, of exclusivity, of control. The idea that once something goes wrong, only Bugatti decides its fate. Fix it, replace it, or quietly erase it from existence. That's why this moment matters so much. As Matt begins removing panels, there's no drama, no sparks, no sudden obstacles, just methodical work. Each bolt removed reveals another. Each section comes away cleanly. Instead of chaos, there's structure. Instead of mystery, logic. Carbon fiber sections lift off as complete assemblies. Fasteners clearly positioned, access points deliberate. This doesn't feel like a car designed to be locked forever. It feels like a car designed to be assembled and disassembled by humans. Bugatti said the wiring looms were too complex, but they're grouped, routed cleanly, labeled logically. Connections disconnect as single units rather than hundreds of loose wires. Fluids are drained carefully and captured, not because Bugatti told them how, but because engineering principles don't change by brand. As the work continues, the workshop doesn't feel tense. It feels focused, awareness of risk, but no fear. And that matters, because fear is what the word impossible is supposed to create. Fear stops people from trying, then the car starts revealing its true design philosophy. Unlike most cars where panels are bonded permanently, much of the Chiron's body is bolted, accessible, replaceable. A design that makes sense when you realize this car was always meant to be serviced, repaired, and maintained, just not by anyone Bugatti doesn't approve. Now comes the critical point. The bolts that join the rear frame and engine assembly to the front tub are visible, countable, reachable. 14 titanium bolts, not mythical fasteners, not factory-only locks, just bolts, strong ones, precision-made, but bolts nonetheless. One by one, they come out. Nothing twists, nothing drops, nothing binds. Slowly, almost anticlimactically, the gap begins to appear. A small separation at first, then more. Until it's undeniable, in a regular workshop, without factory tooling, without Bugatti's approval. At that moment, the impossible officially ends. And what's exposed next is even more important, the damage itself. Because once the car is separated, the real question isn't, can it be taken apart? It's, should it have been written off at all? The damage is serious but localized. A structural component designed to fail under extreme load has failed. Not the engine block, not the gearbox internals, not the carbon tub, a sacrificial component. Exactly as engineering theory predicts. This isn't recklessness. It's evidence of good design, which raises an uncomfortable question. If the damage is understandable, contained, and repairable, why was this car ever considered unfixable? That's the moment the story changes from a rebuild to a challenge. Because Bugatti didn't just underestimate what could be done in a garage, they underestimated curiosity, persistence, transparency. Matt isn't rushing, he's documenting everything, showing each decision, each bolt, each obstacle. Because the power of this rebuild isn't in the tools, it's in the visibility. Every step removes a layer of myth. Every success weakens the argument for total control. And the more this rebuild progresses, the clearer it becomes that impossible wasn't about engineering limits. It was about protecting an image where only Bugatti decides what lives and dies. This update doesn't end the rebuild, it escalates it. From here, work turns from disassembly to creation, from exposing damage to solving it, from questioning whether it can be done to proving that it already is. The car still isn't finished. Parts are missing, challenges ahead. But the line Bugatti drew has been crossed. And once you cross that line, there's no going back. Because now the world has seen it happen. The impossible wasn't impossible, it was just unattempted. And that change in ownership is where this rebuild hits deeper than one damaged Chiron. Because what Matt is doing now sits in a grey area Bugatti has always kept quiet. When a car reaches this level of complexity and value, ownership comes with conditions. Not written ones, but implied ones. Don't question the factory. Don't fix what they say is beyond saving. Don't challenge the system that protects the brand's image and market value. This is why this rebuild has been so slow and deliberate. Not because the work is impossible, but because every step matters. Every choice has consequences. If something goes wrong, it reinforces Bugatti's narrative. If it goes right, it proves the narrative was never absolute. That pressure is always present. With the car now separated, the scale of what's ahead becomes clearer. The engine assembly, massive and complex, sits exposed. The front carbon tub, intact and strong, tells its story. This isn't a car that collapsed under stress. It did exactly what it was engineered to do in a worst-case scenario. The damaged area didn't spread. The structure didn't unravel. Systems didn't cascade into failure. That's not luck. That's design. As Matt inspects the components, the focus shifts from "can this be done?" to "how far does this really go?" Because once you prove the impossible step wrong, everything that follows becomes a question instead of a rule. If this can be separated, can it be realigned? If realigned, can it be reinforced? If reinforced, can it return to the road not compromised, but properly repaired? Bugatti's silence grows louder. No correction, no clarification, no acknowledgement. Silence says more than words. Responding would admit the line they drew was never solid. What makes this rebuild compelling is Matt isn't hiding mistakes. He openly shows uncertainties, measuring twice, sometimes 3 times, walking away to rethink. That's discipline. The kind that separates rushed content from real engineering work. You can see it in how components are catalogued, bolts stored and labeled. Every removed part has a clear path back. This isn't teardown culture. This is reconstruction culture. All of this happens while parts are still missing. Information still has to be verified. Some answers don't exist outside Bugatti's internal systems. That's what makes the progress impressive. It's not done with certainty, it's done with methodical reasoning. At this stage, the rebuild feels less like a YouTube project and more like a case study. A real-world test of how far hypercar ownership actually extends. Do you own the car, or just temporarily host it under factory permission? That question hangs over every update. If Matt succeeds in bringing this Chiron back properly, it doesn't just change one car's fate, it changes expectations. It shows knowledge can be rebuilt, processes can be understood. Independence doesn't automatically mean recklessness. That's why this rebuild has captured attention, not about speed, not flexing, not superiority. It's about proving possibility. The rebuild is still incomplete. Critical steps ahead: alignment, structural verification, reassembly, calibration, testing. Each carries risk, each demands patience. And each will be watched closely, not just by viewers, but by an industry that prefers certain doors remain closed. But the hardest part is done. The word impossible has been dismantled. From here, it's just work. Careful, precise, relentless work. Every update pushes the story away from what Bugatti intended, closer to what it actually is. A demonstration that engineering boundaries are often about permission, not physics. This rebuild hasn't finished. The car hasn't moved under its own power. The final verdict isn't written. But one thing is clear. The factory doesn't get the final word anymore. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next chapter of this Bugatti rebuild isn't about whether it can be done. It's about watching it happen.